Could you just imagine that? I'm there chatting away, talking. I've got lipstick on my teeth, so excuse it, but it's not there anymore. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. I'm Jadine. So basically today I wanted to talk about bullying, specifically workplace bullying. I personally have been bullied in the workplace, and it wasn't very nice. And so I just want to basically tell you a quick little story about that. So, and what I've done basically to prevent further things like that in obviously other jobs, because I didn't stay there. So when I first qualified, I had my first job in a hospital, and I didn't train in Yorkshire, so it was a complete change for me in regards to like the paperwork, and I've never worked like as a nurse before, so obviously you're not going to know lots of different things and stuff. You still, that first couple of years of nursing, I felt like I was still a student almost. I didn't have all the knowledge that I probably have now, hopefully, acquired over the years. So when I first qualified, and I was working on a hospital ward, and there were very complex patients, requiring different professionals, different healthcare workers. So you'd have, your nursing team would have MDTs, there'd be oncologists, there'd be community nurses, nurse specialists, loads of different health professionals. So, we're not talking about, a quick in for a short period of time and then out and then they're on their own. It was very intense, and having to put things in place for people on discharge, and things like that. So I've always been a type of person that I ask questions a lot, because I like to learn. And in my first job, I think looking back on it now, maybe it was because I ask questions that people might not have thought about, and that makes them intimidated or embarrassed, or and that's something that I've learned as I've matured. It's not something that I knew straight away. Like, okay, if you ask people questions and they don't know the answers, they might feel offended. Like, it sounds like common sense, but when you're new and you're just trying to learn, you're not thinking about how someone that's more experienced than you would necessarily not know the answers. Like, for me, it was just like, well, you should know, because you're like the matron or the sister or whoever, So anyways, so that it was rough. I think there was all women in the team, and it was a female ward, and it was just a lot of backbiting, a lot of people looking for mistakes, looking to get you in trouble, kind of like excluding me out of the like any team events and stuff that they were doing. Like, there was a party one of them was having, and they made a point of talking about it around me but not inviting me and stuff, which it sounds trivial, but when you've already got this team that have made it very clear they don't want you there, all these things do count as bullying. Like, I didn't know at the time, but I know now, that it was kind of like bullying. So, I ended up asking the matron for a transfer because I felt victimised. I felt like I didn't want to go to work. I had a lot of anxieties about work, and I felt very unsupported. And but I felt paranoid, because even though I changed wards, I had developed some sort of reputation of being like a difficult person or somebody that's incompetent, maybe, I don't know. But, you know, so my whole career, I've been always fighting against this impression of feeling like other people underestimate me, or other people, you know, especially like managers and stuff, they don't like me. And that's something that for a long time really caused me a lot of stress. And it is so common to have workplace bullying, and it's really difficult to identify it because it can be in such sneaky little ways, you know, like having a party and not inviting me. You know, it's not compulsory that the person having the party would have to include me, but it's the fact that they made a point of all of them talking about it and going over what they're going to wear and all this, you know, blah blah blah. And you know, you're talking about it in front of somebody that you're not inviting. It's just really childish. So, and obviously at the time that upset me, you know. I felt like, God, what did I do? Like, why does she hate me? Like, who has a party and invites the whole team except one person? And also later in my career, you know, in a different trust, in a different hospital, I was excluded again. It was like everyone was asked if they wanted a more senior role, and then I wasn't asked, you know. And then it made me feel like, am I that incompetent? Am I doing the wrong thing? And you start internalizing all this negativity. And no, looking back on it, absolutely not. Like, I wasn't incompetent, I wasn't doing a bad thing or did anything wrong. It was the fact that I am a type of person that challenges, you know, the norms. I will say, well, actually, just because you've always done something that way doesn't mean that you should do it that way. You know, I've always been quite straightforward when it comes to, you know what, I don't think that that's a good idea, or, you know. And people don't want to hear that, and people don't necessarily want you to tell them that they've done something wrong, and that's really sad. But you know, some people are that way out. And I think a lot of the time when it comes to bullying and of being a victim of bullying, you have to remember that they are projecting their ill wills and their, you know, their insecurities and their problems onto you as the victim. It's not necessarily something that you have done specifically, and it doesn't make it right. I don't think it's acceptable to make anybody feel as if they, you know, they're any less than anyone else just because you're going through a hard time. You know, that's just not, it's not right. So I wanted to just make a video about it, because even though it's something that I don't go through currently, it's something that over the course of my career I have been through several times. And the way that I have overcome those things is setting boundaries, because there's always somebody that's gonna think that they can take advantage of a new face, and or of someone junior. They want to push their authority onto you, you know, and it's not right. But people do it because they don't, you know, they don't see anything wrong with it, or they don't care, you know. And there's nothing you can do personally to control other people's behaviour. But if you are going through a situation where somebody's bullying you at work, speak out about it. Don't let them get the upper hand by intimidating you into a corner and you don't say anything. You need to talk, you need to stand up for yourself. If you don't feel like you can just speak to the person directly, then go above them, go to their manager, go to your manager, and say, listen, this is what I'm going through. And if that doesn't resolve the issue, then go to HR, go to the whistleblower of your corporation, go to outside bodies for support. As a nurse, we have to have indemnity. So we have like Unison, I'm part of RCN. You can go to them and speak to them about it. You can go to work tribunals. Because the worst thing you can do is let them get away with it. Because not only are they making you miserable, when you start opening up that can of worms, you'll be surprised how many people have probably had the same experience with the same person and just not said anything. And why shouldn't you? People have got no right to bully you just because of their own issues, and nobody deserves to be bullied, full stop. It's not right, and it needs to stop. We all need to be treating others with respect. We all need to stop this projection onto others, our feelings, our inadequacies, and basically life will be easier if we all just get along. Isn't that the old chestnut? But it's true. Like, I'm the type of person that I will speak out. I will say, if somebody's rude to me or whatever, I will say something at the time, and I'll just be like, listen, no, I don't approve of that. I don't agree with that, or, this isn't going to work, or, and that has taken me time. It's not something that I could do straight away, and it's not something I can always feel confident in doing. However, I feel like now I will actually go to a manager, because that's what they're there for, to say, actually, I'm not happy with this, but I don't feel comfortable taking it, taking responsibility for resolving that off my own back. And if it's your manager that's the problem, then they've got a manager. And if it's their company, then, leave. You'll always be able to get a different job, And I'm talking specifically about workplace bullying here. I'm not talking about anything, in social groups or, your family. When it comes to when it's siblings or family members or whatever, you can always cut them off. It sounds awful, but it's true. Like, if somebody is making you miserable, snip, snip, get rid of them. What are you keeping them around for? Relative or not, sibling or not, parent or not. Like, you've got to think about your own well-being. And if somebody goes out of their way to hurt you, then why be around them? But at work, you need to go. You have to have that income, And obviously, you can resolve problems with your family and friends or whatever. But sometimes you can't resolve it, so you just have to cut them off, You want to have a happier life. That's my suggestion. But anyways, specifically when it comes to the workplace, you want to have people that are able to identify and manage conflict well in management, and that's not always the case. Sometimes you won't get the resolution. Ooh, the wind is strong. Sometimes you won't always get the resolution that you want, but the important thing is that you've spoken up and you stood up for yourself. If you don't stand up for yourself, then you can make your problems worse, because people, unfortunately, see you being quiet as something they can take advantage of sometimes, and it's not right, but it does happen. So I'm going to list some resources anyway, so if you want to have a look at workplace bullying, or if you're going through it, then you can have a look at the resources. You don't have to feel alone. And you don't also have to put yourself in a vulnerable position where you feel like you could lose your job because you stand up for yourself, or making sure that you've got the tools to resolve the conflict. You don't want to look like the problem. You want to look like, actually, this is the problem. Your behavior is the problem, not me. And that's the important balance that you have to get in the workplace. So anyways, it's enough of that. But I hope you have a wonderful week, day, year, life. Come back and see me next week. We're trying to do weekly videos, and I've been going through some things, but maybe I'll talk about that in a different video. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Give me a like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Bye. I'm never. It's Jadine. Oh yeah, it's Jadine. It's Jadine.